The cruel Galactic Empire had enacted its iron fist on many civilizations for eons. However, buried deep within the Sol system was an artifact of humankind's technical superiority that had been long forgotten. An enormous supercarrier, the Imperials being unaware of its actual might. The time has come. Over 1,000 years had passed since the end of the Sol system era, when the unrelenting growth of the Galactic Empire forced humanity to flee their home. As a last act of rebellion, the most brilliant minds in science at the time had secreted this spacecraft, entrusting it with the critical mission of protecting humanity's destiny in the event that the stars should once again summon them home. Finally, the time has arrived. Supercarrier Command Center alarms went off when the scouting party's ship broke through the outer defense barrier. Skilled crew members rushed into motion, their deft fingers manipulating holographic screens to activate the ship's fearsome systems. In preparation to unleash the entire strength of humanity's long-forgotten legacy, the supercarrier's engines rumbled to power, shields flashed to life, and weapons were charged. Imperial drones and subordinate officers made up the scouting party, and they were completely outmatched. Their ship was consumed in an intense burst of energy in a matter of moments, and they were reduced to a shattered heap of rubble floating aimlessly in space. Nobody mistook the message. This region was no longer under the control of the Galactic Empire. The Emperor was shocked and furious when he learned the disturbing news at the Imperial capital. So, these cavemen are rebelling against his authority? He called for his most trusted admiral, a cunning and merciless strategist known for putting down rebellions with a tightened grip. Take the 7th Fleet and look into this disruption in the Sol system right away, Admiral Kelvar. The Emperor snarled and narrowed his gaze. Find out what this supercarrier is and get rid of it as soon as possible. Such contempt will not be tolerated by the Galactic Empire. Without showing any sign of emotion, Admiral Kelvar lowered his head and bowed deeply. It will be completed, sir. I will leave immediately. The Admiral's thoughts were racing with 1,000 options as he marched out of the throne room. In the fraction of a second, what technological marvel could have vaporized an Imperial scouting party to dust? How could anything or anyone have constructed such a fearsome ship? Despite centuries of dominance, the Galactic Empire has never before seen a threat of this magnitude. The Admiral was well aware that he needed to proceed with caution because the stakes were unprecedentedly high. Everything that the Empire stood for was on the brink of disaster. The grim determination of Kelvar was evident when he started making arrangements for the voyage to the Sol system, currently planning ways to counter this emerging danger. If he had his way, the Galactic Empire would not be overthrown by an antiquated artifact from an ancient civilization. The Galactic Empire was rocked to its very foundation when this ancient ship was discovered during a regular scouting mission. In order to investigate and eliminate this new danger before it might disrupt the fragile power balance, the cruel Emperor sent his most cunning and brutal admiral. The 7th Fleet, under the command of Admiral Kelvar, was an impressive fleet of modern vessels and experienced veterans. With a scowl on his face, the Admiral studied the incomplete reports from the doomed scouting party as his massive dreadnought, Absolute Dominion, sliced across the empty space. As he rubbed his fingers across the arm of his command chair, he pondered weapons that might obliterate a whole ship with a single shot. A formidable foe to the Galactic Empire, this supercarrier's shields are impregnable to our weaponry. As they continued their journey, Kelvar's thoughts wandered to the mystery surrounding this supercarrier. He turned to his chief strategist and yelled, "Start running combat simulations! I want to know every weakness, every vulnerability we can exploit. We cannot afford to underestimate this enemy. The strategist nodded, his hands flying across the holoconsole, and the simulation began around them. The 7th Fleet maintained a tight formation, its ships bristling with enough firepower to obliterate entire star systems. For how long was it concealed, and who had constructed it? What was its function, more crucially? Did it hold some deeper meaning, or was it just an artifact from another time? A priority message from the strategist cut across the Admiral's thoughts.
The simulations have been finished, Admiral. Our traditional strategies will fail miserably in the face of this ship, I regret to inform you. Its defensive capabilities are simply too advanced. Kelvar's eyes narrowed. Explain. What are its weaknesses?
None that we can reliably exploit, the strategist admitted, his voice tinged with unease.
The supercarrier's shields are impervious to our energy weapons, and its point defense systems can neutralize even our most advanced missiles. Any direct assault would be met with catastrophic losses. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Then we must find another way.
Subtlety has never been my strong suit, but it seems we have no choice. Dispatch a team of our best operatives to infiltrate the supercarrier and gather intelligence. I want to know everything about its systems, its crew, its true purpose.
It will be done, Admiral,
the strategist replied, already relaying the orders. As the flagship continued its approach to the Sol system, Kelvar gazed out the viewport, his expression grim. This was no mere rebel uprising, no simple skirmish to be crushed under the heel of the Galactic Empire. No, this was a challenge to the very foundation of their rule, a threat that could unravel the delicate fabric of their dominion. The Admiral clenched his fist, his knuckles turning white. He would not fail. Failure was not an option. The Galactic Empire would emerge victorious, no matter the cost. Arriving at the Sol system, the Imperial fleet was met with an impenetrable defense grid, its weapons and shields unlike anything the Galactic Empire had ever encountered. Attempts to hail the supercarrier were met only with ominous silence, further stoking the Admiral's growing unease as he realized this was no ordinary vessel. As the 7th Fleet entered the outer perimeter of the Sol system, a series of automated defense platforms sprang to life, their energy weapons and missile batteries training on the Imperial ships. Kelvar's eyes widened in shock as the first salvo of projectiles streaked towards his flagship, impacting the Absolute Dominion's shields with devastating force. All hands, battle stations. The Admiral roared, his calm demeanor shattering. Return fire! Target those defense platforms! The 7th Fleet's massive guns thundered in response, but their shots dissipated harmlessly against the platform's shimmering energy shields. Kelvar gripped the arms of his command chair, his knuckles turning white as he watched his vessel's futile attempts to break through the alien defenses.
Sir, our weapons are having no effect,
his weapons officer reported, desperation creeping into her voice.
Those shields are impenetrable.
The Admiral's jaw tightened. Then target their power sources, overwhelm their systems with concentrated fire. The 7th Fleet unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy beams, pounding relentlessly against the defense platforms. But for every one they managed to disable, 2 more seemed to take its place, their weapons and shields regenerating with uncanny speed.
Admiral, we're sustaining heavy damage, the chief strategist shouted. At this rate, we'll be overwhelmed in a matter of minutes. We need to fall back and regroup.
Kelvar's eyes narrowed as he considered his options. He had never been one to retreat before. Unfortunately, his fleet was no match for the enemy. It was a tribute to the scientific brilliance of its designers that the supercarrier's defenses were unlike anything he had ever experienced. The Admiral finally gave in, his voice strained with annoyance.
Instruct the Navy to retreat to a safe distance and cease engagement.
Our approach needs to be reconsidered. Even as the Imperial ships, damaged and bruised, hobbled away from the Sol system, Kelvar's thoughts raced. Why was this supercarrier even in operation? For how long had it been concealed, and what did it protect? No matter the price, the Admiral would not rest until he found out the truth. Uneasy quiet pervaded the air on the Absolute Dominion bridge once again. The crew had never witnessed their leader being so outmaneuvered, and the weight of failure settled on everyone's shoulders. How would their civilization fare if the Galactic Empire were unable to vanquish this unexpected foe? With a somber countenance, Kelvar gazed at the departing fleet. Without something, he could not go back to the Emperor. He knew it. We would not tolerate failure. Thus, he embarked on a new strategy that would necessitate deceit, strategy, and an element of surprise. Eventually, he promised, this supercarrier would spill the beans. He would find a means to decipher its secrets and solidify the Galactic Empire's control over the Sol system. The Admiral knew that force alone wouldn't be enough, so he sent a group of his most skilled and crafty operatives to obtain intelligence by infiltrating the supercarrier. Unfortunately, the technological wonders that befell these experienced fighters left them ill-prepared, and the ship's autonomous defenses quickly outwitted and outmatched them. 5 of the most fearsome Special Forces operators from the Galactic Empire made up the infiltration team that Kelvar personally selected. They sneaked past the outer defense grid and broke into the supercarrier's hull while it was dark, equipped with cutting-edge Imperial technology and wearing state-of-the-art stealth suits. They cautiously made their way down the shadowy halls, their heightened senses ready to detect even the tiniest sound or movement. A creepy feeling of discomfort filled the ship, and the operatives couldn't get rid of it. Something otherworldly seemed to be pulsating through the walls and the air around them. As he clenched his fist around his blaster rifle, one of the operatives murmured that this area was alive. Out of nowhere, a crimson light show erupted from the ceiling, and a low-pitched rumble resounded throughout the corridor. The detection of intruders necessitates the elimination of all non-authorized workers. The operators were forced to duck for cover as a hail of energy projectiles burst from hidden positions before the team had a chance to respond. Their attempts to retaliate, while hunkered down beneath the supercarrier's bulkheads and consoles, were severely unsuccessful. Ugh, our blasters don't do anything. With a look of pure terror on his face, another agent let out a yell. I don't understand this technology. Kara, a grizzled veteran and team leader, searched her environment for a vulnerability they might attack. However, her observations of the supercarrier systems led her to the conclusion that they were completely outclassed. She ordered her men to retreat by barking. We must reorganize and provide an update to the Admiral. This mission is a failure. As they made a desperate dash for the extraction point, the supercarrier's automated defenses pursued relentlessly, their energy beams scorching the operative shields and forcing them to weave and dodge through the maze-like corridors. Kara knew that they were running out of time, and that if they didn't reach the extraction point soon, they would be trapped, or worse. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the team burst through the airlock and scrambled aboard their waiting shuttle. As the craft peeled away from the supercarrier, Kara could feel her heart pounding in her chest, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Admiral, this is Kara, she reported, her voice tense. The infiltration was a failure. This supercarrier is unlike anything we've ever encountered.
Its defenses are impenetrable, and its technology is generations beyond our own. We barely escaped with our lives. Kelvar's response was ominous. Understood. Return to the fleet immediately. We have much to discuss.
As the shuttle sped away, Kara couldn't help but feel a growing sense of dread. If the Galactic Empire's best operatives couldn't even set foot on the supercarrier, what chance did they have of stopping this ancient and powerful vessel? As the Imperial fleet waited with bated breath for their comrades' return, a sudden and devastating attack from the supercarrier's arsenal sent shockwaves through the Galactic Empire. Powerful energy beams and missiles tore through the Imperial ships with ease, leaving the Admiral no choice but to order a hasty retreat. The 7th Fleet had maintained a cautious distance from the Sol system, hovering just beyond the range of the supercarrier's defense grid. Kelvar had hoped that the infiltration team would uncover some vital intelligence that could be used to breach the ancient vessel's defenses, but when their shuttle emerged from the supercarrier's airlock, racing towards the waiting fleet, the Admiral knew that the mission had failed. And then, the unthinkable happened. Without warning, the supercarrier's mighty arsenal came to life, unleashing a barrage of devastating firepower. Massive energy beams lanced out, slicing through the hulls of the Imperial warships as if they were made of paper. Missile after missile streaked towards the fleet, their advanced targeting systems rendering the ship's point defense batteries useless. Kelvar watched in stunned silence as his fleet was torn apart before his eyes. The Absolute Dominion shuddered under the relentless assault, its shields flickering and failing as the supercarrier's weapons pounded mercilessly. All ships, evasive maneuvers. The Admiral roared, his composure finally cracking. "Return fire with everything we've got!" The 7th Fleet desperately tried to mount a counterattack, but their weapons proved as ineffective as they had been against the defense platforms. It was as if the supercarrier was anticipating their every move, responding with a level of coordination and precision that far exceeded the capabilities of any Imperial fleet. In the span of mere minutes, the once mighty 7th Fleet was reduced to a scattered collection of crippled and battered vessels, their crews battered and demoralized. Kelvar gripped the armrests of his command chair, his knuckles turning white as he stared out at the wreckage. "Order the fleet to fall back," he growled, his voice barely above a whisper. "We're retreating to regroup." As the Imperial ships limped away from the Sol system, the Admiral's mind raced. How could this be possible? The Galactic Empire had never encountered a threat like this, a technological superiority that rendered their vaunted military might utterly obsolete. Kelvar knew that he would have to report his failure to the Emperor, and the thought filled him with dread. The ruler of the Galactic Empire was not known for his patience or forgiveness, and the Admiral feared the consequences of such a humiliating defeat. But even as he considered the implications of his failure, a spark of determination began to burn within Kelvar. This supercarrier was a challenge, to be sure, but it was one he was determined to overcome. The Galactic Empire would not be toppled by some ancient relic, no matter how advanced its technology. With a renewed sense of purpose, the Admiral began to formulate a new plan, one that would require every ounce of his cunning and strategic acumen. The stakes had never been higher, but Kelvar was prepared to do whatever it took to ensure the Galactic Empire's dominance. Humiliated and enraged, the Emperor summoned the most formidable forces at his disposal, assembling a massive armada to crush the upstart supercarrier and erase this stain on the Galactic Empire's flawless record. But as the battle lines were drawn, a shocking revelation came to light. This vessel was not merely a remnant of humanity's past, but a harbinger of its long-awaited return to the galactic stage. The news of Admiral Kelvar's devastating defeat at the hands of the mysterious supercarrier spread through the imperial capital like wildfire. The Emperor, a man accustomed to absolute dominance, was beside himself with fury, his trusted advisors scrambling to contain the fallout. This cannot be allowed to stand. The ruler raged, his fist slamming against the arm of his ornate throne. Summon the full might of the Galactic Empire. I want that vessel destroyed, no matter the cost. Within days, a colossal armada was assembled. It gathered its ships from all throughout the Empire. Armies of cutting-edge warships numbering in the thousands, their cargo holds stuffed to the gills with elite ground troops and cutting-edge weaponry. A cosmic behemoth preparing to demolish the fledgling supercarrier as it approached the Sol system. A number of shocking disclosures surfaced as the Imperial fleet approached, however, and they shook the Galactic Empire to its very core. The identity of the supercarrier was first revealed. It was more than just an artifact from Earth's history. It heralded the long-awaited re-emergence of the human race into the galaxy. The ship's databanks included records and blueprints that revealed a remarkable tale, one that cast doubt on the beliefs held by the Galactic Empire on humanity's destiny. Several centuries ago, a brave band of human engineers and scientists hid the most cutting-edge technology they could find in order to evade the tyrannical tyranny of the Empire. With this technology, they constructed the supercarrier, a fortress that could hold a whole human civilization. That race was about to come out of hiding, prepared to take their place among the stars again, thanks to the reactivation of the supercarrier. A group of counselors to the Emperor, their expressions betraying their fear, cautioned that the imperial rule could come to an end if they tried to conquer this revived humanity. The supercarrier's technical disadvantage compared to the Galactic Empire's armies was simply too great to be bridged by more traditional methods. The king was in unexplored terrain when confronted with this grim truth. The unwavering supremacy of the Galactic Empire was abruptly brought into question, causing the Empire to reevaluate its ruthless tactics for the first time in generations. With a mix of relief and dread, Kelvar watched the proceedings as he proceeded to the city to submit his report. He was aware that the Galactic Empire was unprepared to confront such a strong foe after witnessing the supercarrier's power in action. Still, he felt uneasy at the thought of bargaining with these long-lost people. With each heated argument among the Imperial advisors, the Admiral became increasingly convinced that the fate of the Galactic Empire was hanging precariously in the balance. The upcoming negotiations would decide the destiny of innumerable worlds, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The Galactic Empire was in unexplored terrain when it faced the possibility of a revived human race. The Emperor had to reevaluate his approach after hearing from his loyal advisors that he risked the fall of the Imperial rule if he tried to suppress this freshly awakened strength. With the destiny of the galaxy hanging in the balance, negotiations commenced, with both parties striving for dominance in the intricate dance of diplomacy. As the Imperial delegation got ready to meet with the delegates from the supercarrier, the royal room became a boiling pot of anxiety. With his reputation damaged by his earlier setback, Kelvar was selected to head the negotiations, which would be the pinnacle of testing his strategic acumen and diplomatic abilities. The seriousness of the situation hit the Admiral as he marched inside the dimly illuminated room. The fate of the Galactic Empire depended on the result of this meeting, and he felt the burden of that duty acutely. The human delegates stood tall and determined across the room, their expressions betraying their inner resolve. Their unwavering determination and ferocious pride sent a chill down Kelvar's spine, as opposed to the fear or submission he had anticipated. As one of the humans spoke, her voice was clear and unfaltering, greeting the officials of the Galactic Empire.
Our peoples may form an alliance, and we are here to negotiate its conditions.
In preparation for the intricate dance that was about to unfold, Kelvar inhaled deeply. Assuring us that the supercarrier does not threaten our dominion is a prerequisite for the Galactic Empire's willingness to talk. The human stand-in's mouth formed a mischievous grin.
Admiral, I'm sorry, but that is not something we can guarantee. We have christened the supercarrier the Prometheus, and it represents all that humanity has accomplished scientifically and technologically.
We will not give it up just because it is vital to our survival. With a single raised palm, the Admiral silenced the Imperial advisors, who had just burst into angry whispers.
Tell me then, what are you suggesting?
When asked about a collaboration, the human responded with a steady stare.
To the Galactic Empire, we offer our knowledge and technology from the Prometheus in return for trade, resources, and the acknowledgement of our right to self-determination.
Something unsettling washed over Kelvar. The consequences of this kind of organization were mind-boggling. A dramatic change in the galaxy's power dynamic would occur if the Galactic Empire recognized humanity's independence. The Imperial advisor's expressions became pale at the mere mention of the idea. As he considered the potential benefits and drawbacks of this choice, the Admiral's thoughts raced. There was the possibility that the Galactic Empire could reach previously unthinkable heights with the help of the Prometheus, a technological marvel. On the other hand, the Empire had never before given up so much power by allowing humanity to be free. Kelvar was well aware that he needed to move with extreme caution, as the destiny of innumerable worlds was at stake. The Galactic Empire could crumble at the first sign of trouble. Everything was on the line, and the Admiral's remarks would reverberate for generations to come. The Galactic Empire reluctantly acknowledged humanity's right to self-determination, leading to the breakdown of a precarious truce. A new alliance was formed around the supercarrier, which was renamed the Prometheus. In return for resources and trade, the Empire received access to the supercarrier's superior technology. With humanity's return to the galactic stage came an irreversible shift in the galaxy's power dynamic and an air of mystery around the future. The negotiations were tough, since each side was battling tooth and nail to get the best deal they could. The advisors to the Emperor from the Galactic Empire had urged him to re-establish imperial authority by standing firm against this new human threat. However, the pragmatic Kelvar had contended that this would be a disastrous move that would drag the Empire into a war it couldn't possibly win. With a solemn tone, the Admiral had cautioned that we must not take these individuals lightly. Their technology is light years ahead of ours, and they are hell-bent on reclaiming their galactic position. Disobeying them would lead to our own destruction. The Emperor reluctantly admitted defeat, realizing the Galactic Empire had been given an irresistible opportunity. The admittance ticket, though, was bitter. The recognition of human agency and the formation of a new, uncomfortable union. Kelvar observed with a blend of anxiety and interest as the details of the agreement were worked out. Under the leadership of the captivating scientist Ava, the humans were able to force a deal by making the Prometheus role their rallying cry. Freedom and a portion of the imperial wealth and trade routes were among the major concessions bestowed upon humanity by the Galactic Empire in the end. With the treaty's weight in the air, the signing ceremony was a solemn occasion. Kelvar felt uneasy as the representatives from the imperial and human realms signed the treaty. A loss in combat wasn't the only thing the Galactic Empire had suffered. Its whole identity had been eroded, a sacrifice that would reverberate for generations. Still, the Admiral couldn't shake the feeling of optimism that he felt as the Prometheus's sleek shape loomed over the Imperial city. the galaxy had an opportunity to start over after hundreds of years. One in which the revived human race and the Galactic Empire may live side by side, their alliance demonstrating the efficacy of unity in the face of adversity. Kelvar was aware that the future was unpredictable as he saw the first wave of technology transfers begin. The Galactic Empire faced an irreversible shift in power dynamics and the imminent threat of being left behind unless it could adapt. Still, the Admiral experienced cautious hope for the very first time throughout his legendary career. The stars, which had previously been reserved for the Galactic Empire, were now also humanity's. Kelvar couldn't help but be curious about the possibilities and threats that lay ahead as the Prometheus sailed into the galaxy.